This is a really deep subject when it comes to Dolores Cannon.
Her experience with multi-dimensional beings. So these are people that live out of phase with the physical reality that all of us live in. And those were something.
Hi, this is Daniel Lakstins, and you're listening to the Ultimate Reality Surfing Program. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so that way you can always get this awesome content for helping you to create the best life ever. Hi, welcome to the Ultimate Reality Surfing Podcast. I'm Daniel Lakstins, and this is my co-host, Todd Ronan. How's it going, Todd?
Hey, Daniel, I'm doing great. Thanks. It's going very well. I appreciate you asking.
Well, this is a neat subject. When it comes to reality creation, there are so many different teachers, and I look at it like when we're like studying this teacher in law of attraction, and then studying this teacher in law of creation or reality creation. No matter what it is, it's all saying the same thing, but we get different perspectives from. It's like looking at an object from different areas around a room or maybe around the planet, or when you're looking, and then it helps to get your picture a little more clear on how you are the creator of your world, your reality. But this is a really deep subject when it comes to Dolores Cannon. I remember when I first discovered Dolores Cannon, and it was pretty intense. I mean, this is really deep stuff, but that's what the Ultimate Reality Surfing Podcast is all about, is going deep, a deeper understanding, higher levels of knowledge and higher vibrations. So tell us a little bit about Dolores Cannon. I know you've read her many years ago.
Yeah, well, during the reality pause that we all took just a couple of years ago, I took the advantage of the time that I had, and I decided to read through all the books of Dolores Cannon's that she's made that I hadn't caught up on. And so I realized she's really expanded the wheel, so to speak, of what she's covered from her convoluted convoluted universe series, which is 5 parts.
Yeah. I think that's probably around the time that I looked into Dolores Cannon. And for a lot of listeners, maybe you haven't read or heard of Dolores Cannon, but she was a hypnotherapist. Did she work for the military or something? I'm trying to think. It feels like it was military.
Her husband was in the military and was injured severely, and then she took it upon herself to make money by interviewing people local to her. So that was her gimmick. That not her gimmick, but the way she worked. She always wanted to be in the same room with you to make sure you're protected, to feel your energy, and she would regress people into their past lives and really categorize the questions she asks and the answers she received from them.
Yeah, and then she just kind of stumbled upon this. She had no idea when, she found out that the person was, living their past life during the hypnotherapy session, and it kind of blew her away. And then she started exploring all these things, and it wasn't just with one of her clients. There were so many clients, and then she would go back to like their very first carnation, and sometimes they were born on a different planet. That she would ask them what their bodies look like, and their bodies would be different colors or different shapes. How many fingers do you have? She'd ask all kinds of incredible questions. Even this one time, the person that she regressed was actually a spacecraft. He was the spacecraft. It's kind of incredible, but
yeah, the teledocular, very interesting reading that she had with that guy. But she developed her own project, her own system for bringing people into that higher mind state called Quantum Hypnosis Healing Technique. So her QHHT is what she developed in order to get to that super state of your consciousness and have that consciousness affect the healing in your being in this incarnation. And because she couldn't see everybody, she developed a legion of people that are able to practice this QHHT process in her absence now that she's passed on.
Wow. Yeah, she made her transition, but boy, she left a legacy of deep understanding. And so, and I do really appreciate her because even the way she presents reality is a different aspect than what I was familiar with or understanding. And it's different than what other teachers can teach, but then you can read all of these different people that had these experiences, and then you can take away from that a well-rounded understanding of reality creation and where you're at in the process of your journey, you know. So tell me
Yeah.
some.
So if I recall, the first oh, go ahead.
That was just a lag in the computer.
So I recall the first Convoluted Universe book series mentioned her experience with multi-dimensional beings. So these are people that live out of phase with the physical reality that all of us live in. And those were something new, something she'd never encountered before. She'd encountered extraterrestrials before, but these are non-terrestrials, non-physical beings that have a consciousness, that live, that act, that have energy. And that was pretty cool, pretty mind expanding.
Right. Well, even the higher self, you know, I mean, you look at, which I want to do a whole episode on some of these other ones that even channel, you know, there's like, for example, Abraham Hicks. I'd like to say here in the future, we'll do Abraham Hicks, and we'll also do Seth. That's pretty awesome stuff. But you know, the higher self, you know, Seth, those entities are non-corporeal entities with personalities, and you know.
Book two, she went deeper into those in between lives and talked to the person when they're neither physical nor non-physical. They're in between. They're not a person, they're not a new incarnation, but they're something else. They're learning things, they have a consciousness, they're experiencing things, and they're in the library, they're in the, you know, everywhere that you think happens after death. She gave reality to them, and she gave validity to them by exploring people's physical, well, not physical, but what happened to them when they weren't living? What happened to them before they came back?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then they went to where all their spirit guide, grand masters of life, you know. So they went into the room. They even told them to rest, and then to choose what they're going to do next.
Yeah, you have an opportunity when you're dead to choose what you want to do next, and you have an opportunity when you're alive to choose how you want to reframe the reality you're living. You still have that power when you get down here, but you just forget, because that's one of the mechanisms of being reborn here on Earth, is you get to forget your past experiences, whether they were in between lives or past previous lives.
I find it so fascinating because, again, a lot of us grew up in different religions, and you know, basically you have the same book, the Bible, and yet so many different takes on the Bible and different things that have, well, don't believe them, and you know, if those people are going to go to hell if you're, you know, of this religion or something like that. And in reality, you know, once I left organized religion, I realized that there's a golden thread of truth in everything, you know, everything that's written. And you can take all the goodness of all those things and then make that your own, you know.
Yeah, but she was able to unpack and uncover what those relationships are that we have in each life and why we have them and how far they go back. So, you know, a problematic relationship you have right now might have stemmed from 2,500 years ago, another incarnation on the farm that you had with someone, and a different family dynamic, a different relationship dynamic. But through the QHHT process, she was able to have the higher consciousness mind give the answers and tell you what it was that happened exactly.
That's incredible. Yeah. So, and those people that were trained by her are still out there. So some people can actually take advantage of doing a past life regression and maybe get some answers to help them in their manifestation reality creation process.
Yeah, the QHHT process is usually always done in person. And so because of the last pandemic, people migrated towards doing beyond quantum healing sessions, which are 2 to 3 hours where you stay at home, someone visits with you on Zoom, they ask you questions, they record it, they send you the recording. So if you don't have the opportunity or the means to go, find someone. You can seek out BQH practitioners near you or QHHT practitioners near you and find out who resonates with you. If you want to have one of these experiences, I've had one and I recommend them strongly. You get as much as you put in. So come armed with questions you want to know, and your higher mind will give you those answers.
Wow. I've never had one done. So that's something to look forward to. Well, awesome. Is there anything else we can share with the audience about Dolores Cannon?
Well, then I think book 3 talked about the ETIs, or the extraterrestrial intelligences, that she'd done work with those people before, or investigators before, and she never found a nefarious intent in a lot of the cases. She always found that there'd been a past agreement done between the person that had been abducted and their abductors, but they always had a familiar relationship with their abductors, and that could have been stemming from a previous incarnation. So those people that think, I'm being traumatized here on Earth, she really realized that, no, you're not. You've agreed to this. Maybe it's traumatic now, but that's just because you forgot. And she talked to a lot of ETIs, extraterrestrial intelligences, a lot of species when she did that book 3. And that kind of is a standalone in and of itself, which doesn't make a lot of ET investigators happy because they want it to play the boogeyman.
That's incredible. Yeah, really, really awesome. Really appreciate her contributions.
And book 4, that one was deeper. Just when you thought it couldn't get any deeper, she went deeper and looked at kind of the simulacrum of the universe that we're all living within, this guise of the matrix that we're in. And she not only investigated abduction experiences, but people that had, like you mentioned, living experiences of physical things. So we don't think of anything around us as having a consciousness, but Dolores Cannon was pushing the idea and kind of pioneered the idea that every inanimate object around you, whether it's a car, whether it's a toaster, has a conscience, it has a sentience, and it might not be as strong as the one that you and I and the listeners have, but it's enough to be respected and revered. So she talked to humans that are alive today that had past incarnations as spaceships, as warships, as planets even.
Well, that's the thing. So all of our molecules in our body and all of the atoms in our bodies, each of them have consciousness. So everything has a consciousness. So when we're working on ourselves, we're not just working on ourselves, we're working on the hundreds of millions, possibly trillions of cells within us that are all a part of us. Question is that our what forms this consciousness that we have, that you're at the helm of, but makes you want to appreciate your body even more.
Yeah. How often do you talk to your body? I don't talk to mine nearly enough, but I should probably give it a little bit more love, a little bit more appreciation, because your spleen is just as important as your brain, but we don't really give it much importance. We don't attach much importance to it, but look at what it does. It's pretty busy throughout the whole day. So thank you, spleen.
Hey, you did that without even mansplaining it.
I did what?
I said you did that without even doing a manspleen. It's mansplaining. It's a dad joke. So
I don't know what the spleen does, but it knows it's busy doing it all day long.
I have no idea what the spleen does. I really don't.
It's really busy all day long. But yeah, if you're interested in any of the work or seeing that on your own, it's a little bit of a lot of money. The BQH session, the QHHT session, it requires some savings, but it is worth it to spend a weekend learning about your past lives, because you gain a greater understanding of why you're in the space you're in now. So now I have a knowledge firsthand of like 20 different past lives that I've had, how I came here, and what I learned from all those lives. And I think it makes me a better rounded person now, knowing that.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're a better, well-rounded person too.
I'm pretty square when it comes to being well-rounded. Well, then there are some other books that she had done, and those are really kind of traumatic, where she talks to a survivor of Hiroshima where she goes back in time. There's a new book she just released too, posthumously. I'm in the middle of that one now, but it's about the path of the goddess. And so it's kind of a Celtic story, or a Walesian story of a couple of women, and how they used to live and how traumatic life was for them back, before the Roman army fell. That's a fun one. So if you want to look up that on Amazon, you can find her new book. Her daughter's putting together some of those books and some of those passages. So we have that to look forward to in the future too.
Incredible. Yeah, her daughter's done a really great job.
Look into the archives, see what Dolores came up with. Yeah. Godspeed, Dolores Cannon.
Yeah.
And we wish you the best in your next incarnation.
Absolutely. Hey, Todd, thanks for being on the show. Where can people find you?
I'm around. I keep myself scarce, but if they want to look around on YouTube, they can go to @realityforecast, or I teach remote viewing courses, 6-week online courses at www.realityforecast.com. Send me an email. Let's have a chat. I'm always anxious to talk to people and explain to them what remote viewing can and cannot do.
Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so that way you can always get this awesome content for helping you to create the best life ever.
Run over to ultimaterealitysurfing.com and download a free copy of Designing Your Perfect Reality.
All right. Thanks again. You guys have an awesome one.
See you later.